Okay, here we are at the installation of the fuel tool FT500 fuel transfer device on a 2019 Ford F150. It's the same exact fuel system as the 2020 and very similar to the F150 fuel systems that go back as far as 2013. Almost the same. So this video should apply to everything from 2013 to current 2020. So where we're going to start is the preparation. We want to depressurize the fuel line. The best way to do that, and very, very simple, is to remove the fuse from the fuse box for the fuel pump. We're going to show you how to do that right now. Just getting that box out of the way, you come right over here to the fuse box, and there's a clip right here to remove this harness. Press this back. Harness releases. Press this in. This cover releases. And this cover releases. So in your owner's manual for every vehicle, if you go to the contents page in the front, you'll see a section under table of contents for fuses. It will tell you exactly the page that the fuse orientation is for the fuse box. So it will tell you exactly what fuse to remove. So this says page 336. I've already dog-eared these to and get right to it. So page 336 shows, and then it happens to be for the 2019, that the fuel pump is fuse number 50. Then you go back a couple of pages to an actual diagram they provide for you, and you can see that fuse number 50 is this one right here. So what we're going to do, now that we know that, we'll go right to the fuse box and locate it, which in this vehicle happens to be this one right here. So you can reach in, pull out this fuse to store it in a safe place. Now, by doing this, we're going to go inside the truck. We won't actually do this, but you'll need to. And put the key in ignition, start the engine up. If it does not start, that's good. If it does start, it should stall pretty quickly. By doing that, we've depressurized the fuel line. That's the preparation start before the installation. Okay, so now underneath the F-150, what you want to do is go to the driver's side front door, and right around the door handle, climb underneath the truck, and you will locate this quick connect fitting right here. So your fuel tank is back here. The pressurized fuel line to the engine runs right up here, and this is the easiest place to connect our T-fittings for the installation of the F2 for the fuel tool. So what we're going to do is these little locking clips right here, we're going to open them up, push them back, allowing us to separate these lines. But before we do that, we're going to take both sides and push it together. Just take a little pressure off of the connection itself. Now we're going to release these two clips, one on this side, as you can see here, same exact thing on the other side. With that apart, we're going to separate the two lines. We got a little rag right here because you will have some runoff of gas. This will help catch it. With those separated, we're going to take the T-fittings that are supplied in the kit, and there's two of them. One's a 5/16 end, and one's a 3/8 end. The F-150s, the 3/8 work, so the 5/16 you will not need. We're going to take the male end, insert it into the female end. You'll hear that click. Lock it. Then take the male end, insert it into the female end on the other side. You'll hear a click and you're locked. Now you're installed on the fuel line. It's as simple as that. Had a little bit of runoff, no big deal. Now prior to this, we've gone ahead and installed the fuel line along the frame. We'll show you that in a few minutes. And by doing so, we've positioned the fuel tool fuel line quick connect to be attached right here. So what we'll do is, with this in place, you simply quick connect the fuel tool fuel line right to it. You're all set. So it's installed on the vehicle's fuel line. You can pull out both sides and feel it's locked in place. you're all set to go. 100%. Okay, now that we're attached to the fuel line, as you saw at the T-fitting, we've run the fuel line already, as I mentioned, and that's running along the top of the frame and the top of the fuel tank. But as it comes out from where we attached it to T-fitting, the fuel line is going to come out towards the driver's side about 10 inches. And this is where it will start to come out right here, right above the frame. We quick connect it right to the vehicle's brake line right here above the next to the frame. Then we've run the fuel line up over the frame and over the gas tank, which is underneath here. This whole body here is the gas tank. So we've run the fuel tool line across the top of the tank, safest place inside the frame rails, and we've traveled that line all the way to the back of the truck, and we'll show you that in just a moment. Okay, now the fuel line that we've run along the frame and across the top of the fuel tank, it travels towards the rear, traveling right on top of this frame rail as well. And you're going to be zip tying it to the brake line, to the wire harness, or any place along the frame and the gas tank that you can. All safe places to zip tie it to. Then it's going to protrude out towards the driver's side, as you can see right here. And it's going to stay right there. This is where it's going to remain until we come and install the housing in the bed of the truck, which will be right above this section right here. Now, while we're down here, I want to point out that there is a support beam, this one right here, that runs from the driver's side over to the passenger side. So on an F-150, what it appears is best is that if you measure from the end of the wheel well, you measure from the end of the wheel well here to the center of the support beam, it's about 10 inches. So when you do the installation, it's going to be 2 bolts in front of this beam that come through, 2 bolts behind the beam, and 2 bolts are going to come straight through the beam. Now you can put it in a different location if you want, but that seems to be a pretty good one because the bolts can come through here, and this can give you some added support for the installation. So that's probably a good place to mount it. So here we are, as you can see, 10 inches right in the center. So pay attention. So I wanted to point this out so when we do the installation up above, you can understand what we're talking about. Okay, so here we are at the top of the F-150 truck, preparing to install the fuel tool in the bed. So here we are at the box. You open up the box and you'll notice right on the front of the box, there's a template. It's perforated. So you cut this out with a scissor, knife, or anything like that. Pull that template out and place it on the truck bed right here. It has the 6 mounting holes in it, and it has the 1 hole for the fuel line. We've taped it down to the location that we thought was the best location. Now underneath, we mentioned that to measure from the end of the fender well, the wheel well, to the center of the support beam was about 10 inches. That is exactly how it will measure from the top of the truck here if it's a steel bed. If it's a bed with a liner like this one, where you've got a little room in here, it's approximately 9 1/4 inches, right around there. So as you can see here, it's about 9 1/4 inches. That should drill right through the center of that support beam. And if you want to, you can take a tiny little drill down and just check. But we think that's a pretty good place. So with that in place, we're going to take the drill, 1/4 inch bit, and you're going to drill. We won't spend the time on the video now actually doing it, drilling all 6 holes out. And with the use of a step bit, we'll drill this hole out. Now that we've got our holes drilled, 2 in the rear, 2 in the center, 2 up front, and the 1 hole for the fuel line, we're going to come to the fuel system itself, pull it out of the box, and simply drop it right into place. Now the kit also comes with spacers. So if you've got a corrugation, which all metal beds have, or a higher corrugation because of the plastic bed liner, it comes with little spacers that allows you to use underneath the space between the corrugations. So installing them is pretty simple, just as simple as this. And you do that on all 6 or where you need them. Now, if you notice that each one of these holes are cut in an oval. It's done that way specifically just in case when you did drill the hole, if you're off by a little bit, gives you a little bit of space to work with. These right here. Alrighty, now that the fuel tool is mounted to the truck bed and it's protruding through here, and your fuel line is protruding through here, the one you ran over the top of the frame, we're going to connect the two together, and that's the end of the installation. Now before you do that, this little 90-degree quick connect is going to push up on this and push up on this, and that creates the connection. It's a press to lock. To make sure that this is installed all the way, about 3/4 of an inch in on both sides, we put a little piece of tape on each one just to give us a measurement of about 3/4 of an inch, so we know it's inserted all the way. And to make sure that there's a proper seal on each of the fuel lines inside this elbow, we take a little 90-degree, we take a little O-ring lube that comes with the kit, and we put it on the end. Now we install these. Can you see that? Too dark.
I can see that.
All right. So this simply presses all the way in, like so. And pull on it, won't come out. We do the same on this one. We press it up into place as far as we can. Don't be afraid to push on it. Pull down on it. It's locked in place. You can remove the tape if you want to. It's installed. So this is the final step. So the first part was connect to the fuel line with the T-fitting like we did. The next one was run the fuel line down along the frame and prepare it for the installation of the housing. Next is to install the housing itself as we've done, and then connect the two together. Okay, so now at the end of the installation, the fuel tool is in place, nice and secured. When you go to use it, you start your vehicle up, which pressurizes the fuel pump in the tank, sending fuel to the engine and sending the excess fuel to the fuel tool. Here's your flow control knob that you thread in the back. When you go to use it, depending on the flow rate that you want, you can adjust it up high to where you'll get up to 1.5 gallons a minute. And then when you go to use it, you come to the front, pull out the locking pin, remove the cap, pull out the nozzle and hose, and fuel any gas-powered equipment wherever you are and only in the volume you need, so you no longer need to store fuel. Well, I appreciate the time. I appreciate the time. Thanks very much, and good luck.